So this was the first pop quiz of the week. MCQs are there in this one. So we'll go through in doubt in question one. If you have, feel free to ask your doubts for any question or a point you have. If you have a doubt, you can ask. Unit for potential difference is given in the base unit by. Any doubt in this? No doubt. Question two, any doubt? Question three, any question or doubt in this three? Any doubt in question three? Question three, okay. In question three, a vector is resolved into perpendicular components x and y. The angle between the v and the theta is shown. How do the magnitude of x and y changes as the theta increase from 0 to 90? Look, what is this component? The component of the vector which is with an angle, so this will be v cosine theta. And what will be the component opposite to the angle? This will be v sine theta. And I can also say like this will be the vertical component. Remember how the values of the theta, cosine theta and theta changes, like the relation between the theta and the sine theta. If the value of the theta increase, the value of the sine theta will also increase. But when the value of the theta increase, the value of the cosine theta will decrease. So what they mentioned, if we increase the angle from 0 to 90. So if I increase the angle from 0 to 90, so the x component is v cosine theta and the y component is v sine theta. So if I increase the angle, when we increase the theta, what will happen to the value of the sine theta? The sine theta will increase. So what will happen to the value of the y? The value of the y will increase. And what will happen to the value of the x? The value of the x is v cosine theta. So as the theta increases, what happened to the value of the cosine theta? It decreases. So if v is constant, the value of the theta decreases, like cosine theta decrease, so the value of the x will also decrease. That's why C will be the right answer for this. Is it clear now? Question 4, 5, 6, any doubt? Question 4, I guess. Yeah. Question 4. Look, as I mentioned, remember one thing, when we take a gradient, the gradient is quantity on y-axis divided by quantity on x-axis. And when we took the area is quantity on x-axis multiplied by y-axis. So the ion, in the question, the ion is accelerated by a series of electrodes. The graph of the power and the time is plotted. So power coil can be on y-axis, on x-axis. That's not the main thing. Now, what is represented by area under the graph between the two times? Remember what area represent? Area represent the product of the quantities. So area is because one of the quantity is power, another one is time. So power multiplied by time. When power is multiplied by time, what we get? Power multiplied by time, because the unit of a power is watt and time is second and watt is joules per second. So second cancel with second, we get joules. What is the joules? Joules is actually the unit of energy. So the area under the graph will give us the kinetic energy or work done. That's right. Work done, energy, kinetic energy. Clear? So whenever you use area of the graph is a product of the two quantities, that will give, you will get another quantity. Question 5, 6, any doubt? Question 5 and 6. No doubt. Question 7, 8, any doubt? 8. Question 6, okay. In question 6, a steel ball falls freely under the gravity after being released. First thing, when you drop an object, the height, what will happen to the height? The height will decrease. Okay. So it means it cannot be D. D, the height is increasing. Yeah, question 6 I'm discussing. Then the height, this is the height means the distance time graph. Distance time graph, what the slope represent? The slope represent the velocity. So when the object is falling, what happened to its velocity? Its velocity increases. Here it is a straight line. What it shows the velocity is constant. Because it's a straight line, it means the velocity is constant. But object cannot fall from the beginning with a constant velocity. That's why it cannot be A. When you check this one, what happened to the slope? What happened to the slope? Is it increasing or decreasing? What happened to the slope? So the slope is increasing, the value. So if the slope is increasing, it's a height and time graph, which the slope represent the velocity. So velocity is increasing. That's why B will be the right answer. What about C? When I take this gradient like here, angle here, angle here, angle here. So it means the slope is decreasing. It means the velocity is decreasing. But falling object, the velocity cannot decrease. It should increase. That's why B is the right answer. Is it clear now? Question 6. Next, question 7. Force of 3 Newton, 5 Newton, 4 Newton and 5 Newton act on an object. The angle at which the force act can vary. What is the minimum resultant force? Look, we want to minimize the resultant force. Example. First, before explanation of the question, if I say I have a force of 3 Newton and 4 Newton, okay? What is the minimum for these two forces? The minimum value for these two forces will be 1. What could be the maximum? The maximum will be 7, okay? And I can vary the number between 1 and 7. Like any number I can have, but minimum can be 1, maximum can be 7. Minimum when they're in opposite direction, maximum when they are in the same direction. Now we have the 3 forces and we want a minimum resultant. So how I can have a minimum resultant? Example. We can add as well. Look, if I say the minimum resultant means the two forces act in opposite direction. That will give me the minimum resultant. When they will have a maximum resultant, if the two forces are acting in the same direction, I will have the maximum resultant. But I can vary the resultant from 1 to 7. How I can vary the resultant from 1 to 7? If I change the angle between the forces, like I have 4 Newton and I have 3 Newton. So if I change the angle, I can change the magnitude of the resultant from 1 to 7. Minimum is 1 and maximum is 7. The question is, what is the minimum? What is the value of a minimum resultant? So what we can do here, for example, we have 5 Newton on the right hand side and 4 and 3 Newton on the other side, but I can change their magnitude. How I can change the magnitude? By changing the angle. So 4 Newton and 3 Newton, what is the minimum magnitude they can have? 1. What is the maximum magnitude they can have? 7. So I can change the angle. By changing the angle, I can change the magnitude and I can make the magnitude 5. So if this magnitude is 5 and there's a 5 on the opposite side, so what is the resultant? The resultant will be 0. So if the resultant is 0, it means what is the minimum here? The minimum will be A. Is it clear? So what you can do, it's not like the two forces will have, if you know the force, you can identify the minimum and the maximum. So 4 Newton and 3 Newton, the minimum will be 1 and the maximum will be 7. But it's not like you can have 1 and 7 only. You can have any number between 1 and 7 if you change the angle. If you reduce the angle between them, you will be closer to 7. If you increase the angle between them and around 180, it will be closer to 1. So you can change the angle. So how we can have a minimum resultant? How we can have a minimum resultant? 5 Newton is toward the right hand side. So if I arrange 3 Newton and 4 Newton at a certain angle, I can have the resultant as a 5 Newton. This 5 Newton can cancel the other 5 Newton. So the resultant will be 0. They don't act at the same point. It's act at one point on the object. So if they're acting on one point of the object, like these are the forces, you have a 5 Newton there, you have a 3 Newton, and you have a 4 Newton. So what is the resultant here? The resultant is 0. It's written here, act at one point of the body. Question 8, any doubt? 8 and 9? Question 8 and 9? Question 10, 11, 12? Any doubt? Question 10, 11, 12? No doubt in this?